Hello everyone, welcome to another video. I'm Randy, and after a long hiatus, I'm getting back to my series where I go through each year and tell you my favorite album, my favorite song, my favorite movie, and my favorite television show from that year, and we're up to 1969. So let's get to it. For my favorite album of 1969, the fourth runner-up is Nashville Skyline from Bob Dylan. Actually, I only have it on CD right now, but you can call it Bob Dylan Goes Country, even teaming up with Johnny Cash on the tune Girl from the North Country, which was also on the Freewheelin' album, but I prefer this version, even though it leaves out a verse and they aren't exactly in sync all the time, but I just love how they do it. It has some of my favorite Dylan ballads and probably his most engaging vocals. He has the big single, Lay Lady Lay, and then I Threw It All Away, Tonight I'll Be Staying Here With You, Tell Me That It Isn't True. It's full of great songs. Nashville Skyline, Bob Dylan, my fourth runner-up. My third runner-up is The Band, self-titled album, which was actually their second album. This is a 45 RPM edition. Capitol label. But yeah, great album, big influence on Americana music, with chief songwriter Robbie Robertson, who was himself a Canadian. It looked at the Civil War, Union workers, Southern life, and references to different American locations. Highlights include the night they drove Old Dixie down, up on Cripple Creek, and Rockin' Chair. And see the tunes there, spread over two LPs. It was a single LP when it came out. My second runner-up is Tommy from The Who. There you go. See all the songs, but this is probably the best known rock opera, mostly written by Who guitarist Pete Townsend, about the fictional character Tommy Walker, who becomes deaf, dumb, and blind after a catastrophic event, and his progression to regain his senses and become a leader. The Who have performed this many times in concert with such great songs as Pinball Wizard, I'm Free, We're Not Gonna Take It, Go to the Mirror, just a bunch of great songs on this one. The Who, Tommy. I went back and forth on what would be number one and what would be my runner-up, but right now this is going to be it this way. It's going to have the Beatles' Abbey Road as my first runner-up. It's got that great ending medley and what I think is George Harrison's best song and one of the best Beatles songs, and Here Comes the Sun. It also has one of the most covered songs of all time in Harrison's Something. It got Come Together, just so many great songs. Beatles, Abbey Road. And that makes my number one album, Let It Bleed by the Rolling Stones. It edges out Abbey Road because it has two of the best Stones songs, and Gimme Shelter and You Can't Always Get What You Want. Also love the London Bach Choir and the beginning part of You Can't Always Get What You Want. It's the first Stones album in which guitarist Mick Taylor appears, although only on two songs. But it's got other great songs like the title track, Monkey Man, Midnight Rambler. This is the mono reissue that came out in the box set. It's on red vinyl on the Decca label, of course. And that's my number one album, Let It Bleed. Now for my favorite song from 1969. The fourth runner-up is from Townes Van Zandt. This is his album, Our Mother the Mountain. You can see the tracks on here, and the one I'm picking is number 8 there, Tecumseh Valley. This is a lyrical masterpiece from one of our best songwriters. Tecumseh Valley is a real place in Oklahoma. And it's about a woman tossed away by society and her very sad story. Just heartbreaking, but just a fantastic song. Tecumseh Valley, Townes Van Zandt. My third runner-up from Led Zeppelin. And this, you can see it, it's the opening track here. Whole Lot of Love, great opening track on Led Zeppelin 2. It is probably the best hard rock song about celebrating the amorous nature of the male libido. Robert Plant sounds like he is on a mission spurred on by one of the most famous guitar riffs in rock. Yeah. Whole Lot of Love from Led Zeppelin 2. My second runner-up from 1969 was by the great James Carr, and it's the song To Love Somebody. It was a non-album single, and from who I think is the best soul singer ever. I also think it's one of the best cover songs ever, along with Jimi Hendrix, All Along the Watchtower. Carr elevates this Bee Gees tune to new heights with his raw, emotive performance. Yeah, James Carr and To Love Somebody. Oh, and don't believe just me. It says right here on the record, the world's greatest soul singer. This is a compilation here. My first runner-up for 1969 is from Creedence Clearwater Revival and their album Green River. And it's the first song on side 2, Bad Moon Rising. It's probably the most played CCR tune, but I don't hold that against it. It's a catchy tune with a great John Fogerty vocal, a happy sounding song with an apocalyptic message. And of course, no werewolf movie is worth its salt if it doesn't include this in the soundtrack. And it was on the Fantasy label. And for my favorite song of 1969, yeah, see the Rolling Stones, Let It Bleed Again. And it's Give Me Shelter. One of the best Stones songs with an ominous feel, and also includes the great backing vocals of Mary Clayton. Greil Marcus of Rolling Stone magazine said that the Stones have never done anything better. I actually do like one other Stones song more, but this is fantastic. Give Me Shelter by the Rolling Stones off Let It Bleed. And now for my favorite movie of 1969, my fourth runner-up is True Grit, directed by Henry Hathaway with John Wayne. Got Glenn Campbell and Kim Darby there as well. Music by Elmer Bernstein. But just John Wayne's iconic performance as Rooster Cogburn, where he won an Academy Award. I mean, if you look at it, John Wayne has been in probably as many movies as anyone, any classic movies as anyone. And this is an all-time classic, I think. A lot of great scenes in this, including the meeting of Wayne and Robert Duvall's gang in the clearing, where he puts the reins in his mouth so he can have two hands to be shooting at them. Just a classic movie. True Grit, John Wayne. My third runner-up is the James Bond film, On Her Majesty's Secret Service. There we see George Lazenby. I think he makes a fine James Bond. This one was directed by Peter Hunt, who had been an editor on earlier Bond films. If he had chosen to stay in the Bond franchise, I think he would have made an excellent James Bond, but I think his agent convinced him otherwise or something like that. Also has the great Diana Rigg and some great action sequences, maybe one of the best plots in a James Bond film. Underrated Bond, On Her Majesty's Secret Service. This was, of course, in one of the volumes of the James Bond collection. This is volume 3, but yeah, I have all 4 volumes, but On Her Majesty's Secret Service. For my second runner-up, I thought sure I had this on DVD, but and that was one of the things I forgot to mention at the beginning. In order to pick something, I have to have a physical copy of that. And with the television series, they are only eligible their debut season. But I do have a copy of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, which was going to be my second runner-up, but this is a VHS tape, which I don't play VHS tapes very often, but I do have the ability to. A fun action-adventure western directed by George Roy Hill with Paul Newman and Robert Redford. They play their charisma to the hilt. There's also a lot of humor, especially considering the eventual outcome of the story, which was loosely based on the outlaws Robert Leroy Parker and Harry Longbaugh. It also has Catherine Ross in it, and we learn that if there are any rules to a knife fight in this one. Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid. My first runner-up for my favorite movie of 1969 is Army of Shadows, directed by Jean-Pierre Melville. This is a Criterion Collection edition, spine number 385. But yeah, this great World War II drama was shot like a film noir about the Nazi occupation in France that plays like a tribute to the freedom fighters that fueled the resistance. It has some unbelievable tense scenes, and all the acting is first rate. It ranks right up there with Melville's Le Samurai, if you've seen this. Just fantastic French film. And my favorite film of 1969 is The Wild Bunch, directed by Sam Peckinpah. This is a 2-disc special edition with a lot of extras. Here we see William Holden, Ernest Borgnine, Robert Ryan, and Edmund O'Brien. Just a whole slew of great actors in this one. This is probably Peckinpah's magnum opus, which follows an aging band of outlaws looking for one last score, and their tribulations mirror the passing of the Old West. The movie also has kind of signaled the end of the Old Western and the rise of the anti-hero and a more realistic view of violence. A masterpiece, like I said, with an unbelievable collection of actors, The Wild Bunch. And now for my favorite television show from 1969. It was kind of a sparse year, 1969, at least in my collection. There weren't many shows that debuted this year that I thought were fantastic. But I did pick 3 that I liked. And first one is Love American Style. A little cheesy sometimes, but it was a lot of fun. It had some fast-paced interludes with short story segments. It had many well-known guest stars, and quite a few future stars got their start in this show. I remember Stuart Margolin, who would later be Angel on the Rockford Files, playing in a lot of the interlude segments that were really funny. This anthology series was all about the complexities of love, courtship, and marriage and the like. Love American Style. And my first runner-up for my favorite television show of 1969 is Randall and Hopkirk Deceased, amusing British series about the detective agency of Randall and Hopkirk, where Hopkirk gets killed, but comes back as a ghost and ends up helping Randall with the cases, but he also likes to keep an eye on his wife right there. This series had a reboot in 2000, but it isn't well regarded, and I haven't seen it. If anybody out there has seen the reboot, and you can tell me what you think of it. But yeah, I love the original series. But my favorite television series from 1969 is Night Gallery. Let's see, Rod Serling there and there. An anthology series celebrating the supernatural and the macabre, brought to you by Rod Serling, who had previously given us The Twilight Zone. This one was more horror-oriented and a bit more savage in tone. They're tearing down Tim Riley's bar segment is an all-time classic. Yeah, Night Gallery, that would be my favorite from 1969. And thanks everyone that's been watching, and leave your favorite picks down below for your songs and albums and movies and television shows, whatever you feel like letting me know about. And I also would say that I'm going to try to put a link to my 5 favorite songs, so a YouTube link, so you can go and look them up. Anyway, that's it. See you in 1970.